Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 80. Episode 80 of the Unstoppable Entertainment Show, the most comprehensive entertainment news show on the internet. I am, of course, Nate Schaffner, otherwise known as the Unstoppable Nate. I hope everyone's doing okay, and I hope that this show in some way brings you joy. And I hope you enjoyed last episode and continue to enjoy the show in the future. Um, got a lot of interesting stuff to talk about on this episode. But before I get started, I just wanted to remind everybody that if you like this show, go ahead and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, spread the word. Also, if you have a comment, a question, or if you'd like me to talk about certain movies or franchises, you can email me anytime at the address listed in the description of this video. So, with that out of the way, uh, let me get started with this. Um, Hold on just a second. I'm so sorry about this. Uh, okay. Da, 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 Okay. So, and I talked about this. Let's get started with this. So, I talked about this when Joseph emailed me the other day, but it was revealed. Um, this article is on The Hollywood Reporter, published by Ryan Gajewski, Boris Kitt, and Aaron Couch. But it was announced uh, at Comic Con that uh, David Johnson, um, it was announced at San Diego Comic Con that David Johnson is going to star as a grown up uh, iteration of King T'Challa's son, and he is going to be the new Black Panther. David Johnson, of course, was in the Stephen King film adaptation of The Long Walk. Um, and he was also in Alien Romulus, which I loved. I fucking love that movie, and he was phenomenal in um, that movie as well. Um, and also, and again, not that this is a terribly big deal, but if you look at the physical appearance of David Johnson, and if you look at the physical appearance of the little boy who played um, Toussaint uh, in Black Panther 2 at the end credit scene, they kind of look similar. Again, not that that's a terribly big deal, but there you go. Um, I think this is wonderful. I think what's going to happen is that you know I Shuri in Black Panther Wakanda Forever in Black Panther 2 kind of took on the mantle of the Black Panther because she had to. I never got the feeling that um, it was something that she necessarily wanted, but she felt that it was necessary. Not that that's a bad thing. And Shuri did a Letitia Wright did a fantastic job in the movie. I think Shuri will recognize that Toussaint, also known as Prince T'Challa, the son of King T'Challa, Chadwick Boseman. I think Shuri will recognize. Look, you're his heir. You deserve this more than I do. This is your rightful place. And there will be no. There's no. I don't think there's going to be a challenge for the throne. I think Shuri will willingly hand it off to him. I don't think there's going to be any kind of conflict at all. Um, and yeah, and I think David Johnson is going to be amazing in this movie. Now the sequel is set for a release date in 2028. Um, so I mean that does bring into question what the conflict of the movie will be, because um I don't anticipate, and I could be completely wrong, but I don't anticipate there being a conflict into a conflict of interest in terms of Toussaint, Prince T'Challa, taking the mantle of his father, Chadwick Boseman. I don't anticipate a conflict with that. So we'll see what happens. I mean, I'm excited as far as David Johnson playing Black Panther. This is amazing. I think it's awesome. So jump in the comment section and let me know your thoughts about David Johnson taking over the role of um, Black Panther. Um, I wanted to talk about um, this next bit of news is was surprising, and really sad to hear about. Um, one of my favorite uh, Jim Carrey films, and it might be my favorite, is The Mask. And um, the director of that film, Chuck Russell, he directed that film. He on July 24th, I believe. Yes, on July 24th, the director of The Mask, starring Jim Carrey, Chuck Russell, um, died at the age of 74. Um, Now, he also directed, um, I believe, um, yes, he directed A Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors, which I actually think is pretty good. It's really good. Um, he also directed The Blob, a remake of The Blob in 1988. Um, he directed this movie, um, and look, he directed this movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger called Eraser, which is not necessarily high art. I it's a schlocky action film, but it's fun. It's fun. I mean, I accept that movie for what it is. It's a fun movie. Now, he also directed um, The Scorpion King, um, which is not a very good film, but uh, it was Dwayne the Rock Johnson's first leading role in a movie. It's not a very good film, but it was um, success financially successful enough to establish Dwayne the Rock Johnson as a leading man. And of course, he went on to The Rock went on to much bigger and better things. And Chuck Russell directed that movie. And I just wanted to say a few words about Chuck Russell. Um, he wrote he also wrote the script for Dreamscape with Dennis Quaid. Um, you know, uh, and that was The Mask. That was Cameron Diaz's first movie. Um, and she was wonderful in that. You know, one of the best, if I may say so, one of the best entrances of a character ever in a movie is Cameron Diaz in The Mask. Now, you know, the Mask is one of my favorite, probably my favorite Jim Carrey movie. It's just complete. I always felt like, I mean, there are certain. Jim Carrey is a comedic genius, and he has been from, you know, I find many of his movies funny, and he's also a great dramatic actor. But I always found The Mask to be Jim Carrey's, like, that's like Jim Carrey. It's Jim Carrey unleashed. You know what I mean? Like he puts on the mask and, like, uh if you were to unleash Jim Carrey's full comedic genius, it's The Mask. You know, I always looked at it that way. And I love that movie so much. And I believe it also got an Oscar nomination for visual effects. And that first, uh, the first transformation sequence, the whirlwind spinning around is one of my all time. I mean, the very first transformation sequence, the whirlwind, is so memorable. Um, you know, it's it's so funny, and you know, Chuck Russell was a good director, um, and Jim Carrey. Um, he also Jim Carrey put out a beautiful statement regarding Chuck Russell. Um, he also directed. Chuck Russell also directed um, a remake of Witchboard in 2024, which I heard was decent. Um, he also directed, um, unfortunately, he also directed this movie with John Travolta called I Am Wrath. Um, if you if you don't want to lose an hour and a half of your valued life and time, don't watch that movie. That's all I'm saying. But I'm not here to. Um, I I'm not here to bash on Chuck Russell. All I'm saying is, Chuck Russell helped launch Dwayne the Rock Johnson's career. Um, A Nightmare on Elm Street 3 really helped, um, what's the word I'm looking for? Revitalize the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. I love The Mask. Um, and that movie, The Blob, the remake of The Blob, is really fucking good. It's really, really good. So I just wanted to say a few words about Chuck Russell. He was a good director. Um, you know, and if you haven't, um, you know, it was again, it was one of those things where I looked at my phone and I was like, Chuck Russell, why do I? And I was like, oh yeah, like I know the name Chuck Russell. What is he? And I was like, he directed The Mask, and he directed, it's just one of those I know that name kind of things. And I if you look, you guys should watch some of those movies and see what you think. But he was a good director, and he helped launch several careers in the entertainment industry. And Jim Carrey again put out a beautiful statement. And I'll his um yeah. So I just wanted to say a few words about Chuck Russell. Um, yeah. Excuse me. So this next bit of news is really, really interesting. So I think one of I say all the time that I love in terms of comic book film adaptations, I love the Marvel and DC stuff. But I also like when the lesser known, not necessarily lesser known, but the other stuff that's not Marvel and DC gets film adaptations. And I think one of the comic book film adaptations that's kind of, I mean, is it a cult classic? Is the 1997 Spawn movie? Um, you could kind of tell watching that movie where the money went. That movie's so ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. But oh my god, the the visual effects of the suit are they look pretty damn good. They look pretty damn good. Well, for those who don't know, there's going to be a Spawn reinvention starring Jamie Foxx. However, um, the search for a director for that movie is uh, um, still ongoing. However, that is not the only uh, Spawn film adaptation on the way. This article is on Screen Rant, published by Grant Hermans. And Todd McFarlane, who is the uh, he is the creator of Spawn and he's the president, the current president and co-founder of Image Comics. He's the and like I said, he's the creator, writer, and artist on Spawn. He was at San Diego Comic-Con this year, the week about a week and a half ago, and he had an interview. And again, this article is on Screen Rant, published by Grant Hermans. And a little ways down here, it says in this article, now, in an interview with comicbook.com at San Diego Comic-Con 2026, McFarlane has revealed a very different Spawn movie is also on its way. Reflecting on his efforts to revive the 90s animated series, the comic creator revealed that there is a, quote, 90-minute animated show that's all been drawn, unquote, with the only thing currently missing being the cells to render the scenes in the project, as well as needing, quote unquote, a little bit of Foley. That's Foley sound work, for those who don't know, for sound effects and the like, while also needing to, quote, hand it to a studio to actually draw, unquote. However, McFarlane confirmed that, quote unquote, we're ready to properly get the animated Spawn movie going, even revealing that Keith David reprised his role for the film, while Mark Hamill joined the franchise as Twitch, taking over the role from Michael McShane in the HBO series, with the creator having to push the actor to retain his own voice instead of, quote unquote, doing his animated stuff. So, there's a animated Spawn movie from Todd McFarlane that is near completion. I think it's I'm gathering from this article that it's either going to go in terms of distribution. It's the question is whether or not it's going to be in theaters, or whether it's not, or whether it's going to be on streaming, or straight to whatever. Let me just say this: I think there are things you could do with Spawn in animation that are unparalleled. I think the character of Spawn. Now, I also think that a Spawn live action movie could be awesome. But the character of Spawn and visually speaking could work really well with animation. Especially under the creative control of Todd McFarlane. He's very passionate about the character of Spawn. He's been trying to get multiple things going. And I'd love to see a 90-minute animated Spawn movie. I'd fucking love that. I think that would be great. I think that would be awesome. It's just a matter of getting it completed and distributed. So I hope this happens soon, because I hope it happens soon, because I think we're all getting impatient about another Spawn adaptation, whether it be film or television. I think we all want Spawn to be done well. And if anybody's going to do it, it's Todd McFarlane. So, jump in the comment section and let me know what you guys think about a Spawn animated movie being worked on by Todd McFarlane. Okay, so this next bit of news is interesting. So, one of my favorite actresses is Whoopi Goldberg. I love Whoopi Goldberg. You know, I grew up watching her on Star Trek. You know, The Color Purple. You know, Ghost, obviously. I think she's wonderful. I think she's a great actress. And she's going to be co-starring in this new comedy for Netflix. This article is on Variety, published by Angelique Jackson. Whoopi Goldberg, Jennifer Lewis, Vanessa Williams, and Vivica A. Fox are teaming up to star in a new original comedy movie for Netflix. The film, titled Women Like Us, is produced by the Obama's Higher Ground and Charles D. King's Macro Film Studios. Tasha Smith will direct the movie from an original script by Ali Kinney. Let's see. This article goes on to say that Women Like Us is slated to begin production this fall in New York City. The plot kicks off when a recently widowed woman is dragged to the Hamptons by her lifelong best friends and sister on what should have been her 30th anniversary. As the logline explains, the weekend becomes a reckoning with grief, with marriage, with the sisterhood that's carried them throughout the years, and with the realization that dreams don't have an expiration date. Let me see if there's any more information. Okay, so I love Whoopi Goldberg, like I said. If I am getting my information correct, yes. Jennifer Lewis, I'm not too familiar with Jennifer Lewis, but I do remember her. She appeared, she guest starred on Friends back in the day, and she played Monica's coworker at the restaurant that Monica was working at. And it was back when Monica was I forget the name of Monica was dating somebody. And all her friends, I forget who she was dating, but Monica was dating somebody, and all the other friends, Chandler and Phoebe and all the other ones, loved him. Alan, that was his name. Alan. Monica was dating Alan. All the other friends loved Alan. But I remember there's a scene at the restaurant where Monica's just like, you know, all the other friends loved Alan, and Monica was just not feeling it at all. And there's a scene in the at the restaurant. Monica was just like, they feel the thing, but I'm not feeling the thing. They feel it, but I'm not. And Juliette Lewis, who plays the fellow chef, she was just like, honey, you should always feel the thing. I'll never forget that ever. So I know Juliette Lewis from that. Vivica Fox obviously is, an icon. I think. What I'm not too familiar with Vanessa Williams. No. Well, she was in Eraser. I know that much. Yeah, but I'm not too familiar with her. But yeah, Vivica Fox, I mean, is great. And I'd love to see this movie. You know, four best friends, you know, coming together and having this reckoning together. I'd love to see this movie again. It's one of these things where, because it's going to be a Netflix movie, I'm going to be a Netflix original movie. I'm a little dubious about it, but I'll watch, especially with Whoopi Goldberg. Hell yeah, I'll watch that. I love her. So, and look, excuse me, I should have taken a cough drop. You know, good comedies are always fun. You know, um, so jump in the comment section and let me know um, what you guys think about this weekend getaway. Dealing with grief and marriage and sisterhood. You know, um, let me know what you guys think about this. I think it sounds good, but what do I know? Okay, so let's see. I made some notes here. Okay, so excuse me. I should have taken a cough drop. In the latest news regarding the Paramount Warner Brothers merger, there is some interesting news and eyebrow-raising news, to say the least. So, one of the things that's happened recently is the 12 state attorneys general went to or filed the lawsuit, and then there was the restraining order. So there's this article on Variety published by Gene Medaus, and this is interesting. This article says that Paramount Skydance has reached an agreement with the coalition of state attorneys general to postpone the Warner Brothers Discovery merger until after an antitrust trial. The company entered a joint stipulation in the federal case on Friday afternoon. So this was published on July 24th. The company entered a joint stipulation in the federal case on Friday afternoon, agreeing not to close the $111 billion transaction until 5 days after a trial is held, or June 1st, 2027, whichever is earlier. No trial date has been set, but the agreement likely puts the merger on hold for at least several months. So I think it's going to be delayed until June 2027. The last I heard. Yeah. Hold on, let me yeah. So Paramount has told a judge that it would not close its merger with Warner Brothers Discovery until June 1st of next year, or until the legal issues are resolved. Now that's interesting, and that's very important because as I talked about on previous episodes, if this deal doesn't close by October, then Paramount is going to owe the WB shareholders a lot of money. And a lot of money every 3 months after that. Now, what's also interesting about this is something that I did not realize. Because this so I want to make sure they're David Ellison, who's in charge of Paramount Skydance, and David Zaslav, who is in charge of Warner Brothers. And like I said, this Paramount agreeing to delay the merger until June of next year. And this is going to end up costing Paramount a lot of money. Something that I did not realize is that Warner Brothers Discovery CEO David Zaslav gains the right on June 4th of next year, contractually gains the right to walk away from this merger if the deal remains unclosed. And so and doing so would allow Warner Brothers Discovery to collect a $7 billion termination fee from Paramount. It's just like, hey, we've entered this deal, and now it's not gonna, if it doesn't happen, you owe us $7 billion because we've waited this long. So on September 30th, the ticking fee of $650 million per quarter kicks in if the deal is delayed. September 30th of this year. On June 4th of next year, David Zaslav gains the right to terminate the agreement and collect a $7 billion fee from Paramount. And like I mentioned, this merger is now stalled due to an antitrust lawsuit filed by the 12 state attorneys general and the Writers Guild of America. It's just like, no matter what happens, Paramount's gonna Paramount, they're already in debt. Paramount's already in debt. No matter what happens, Paramount's going to owe money to somebody. Paramount Skydance is going to owe money to somebody. It's just a matter of who and how much. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I don't think this deal is going to happen. I think Paramount, if they're smart, and look, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I'm smarter than David Ellison. I'd be doing, if I was, I'd be doing what David Ellison. I'd be in a David Ellison type position. I don't think this merger is going to happen, and I think if they're smart, Paramount Skydance and David Ellison are going to pull out of this deal because it's just not worth it, financially speaking. You're already in debt. You're not. I don't care what you say. You're not going to make 30 films a year, being in the amount of debt that you're in. You're going to owe somebody money, regardless of it. It's not. I don't think it's going to happen. I really don't. There's too many red flags. Too much is at stake. And I have to say it. I don't think the deal's going to happen, and I'm glad it's not going to happen. Because there's 5 major film studios? Even less if this merger happens, and nobody wants that. I highly doubt this is going to happen. So, I just wanted to talk about and bring you up to speed on that. Again, I think there's too much at stake financially. I think there's too many red flags business-wise. I could be wrong, but I don't think so. So I just wanted to bring you guys up to speed on the Paramount, on the latest news regarding the Paramount Skydance merger or lack thereof. Let's see. Moving on here. One of my favorite actresses is Jennifer Aniston. And I say this with respect. I think going back to Friends, the person of those 6 people, the person that has had the most success coming off that show in terms of, career-wise, the person that has had the best career since Friends is Jennifer Aniston. If you look up what she's accomplished, I think she's fantastic. And she's going to be starring in this new comedy, which sounds ridiculous, and I mean that in a good way. This article is on Variety, published by Angelique Jackson. This article says Jennifer Aniston is set to star in Olivia Wilde's Universal comedy Naughty, playing a single mom named Mallory, while Peter Dinklage plays the King of Christmas, Santa Claus. Now, Olivia Wilde is going to direct this movie. This article goes on to say Olivia Wilde, fresh off the success of her latest directorial effort, The Invite, directs Naughty, which centers on Mallory, whose quote only hope of securing custody of her son from her gaslighting trash bag ex is to find Santa Claus and convince him to testify in her divorce hearing. Unquote. What? What? Okay. Now, this movie is being written by Jimmy Warden. Jimmy Warden. Jimmy Warden wrote Cocaine Bear. So that probably, if you've seen Cocaine Bear, then this movie is, you know, the same guy who wrote Cocaine Bear wrote this movie. Okay, that makes sense. You know, Santa Claus and convince him to testify in her divorce hearing. Okay, let me just say this: Olivia Wilde is a good director. She directed. Hold on, I'm gonna. I want to make sure. Yes, Booksmart. Booksmart is great. Booksmart is fantastic. I have heard great things about The Invite, which this article mentions. I have not seen it. So, she also directed Don't Worry, Darling, starring Florence Pugh. Which I have heard not so good things about. So, she's had one bad day at the office. Booksmart's great. I've heard The Invite is great. Okay, Don't Worry, Darling. However, if you've seen Booksmart, if you've seen Don't Worry, Darling, and if you've seen The Invite, or hell, even if you just watch the trailers for those movies, it's pretty clear to me that Olivia Wilde has a knack for telling stories that I want to see if I can phrase it properly, but she has a knack for pushing boundaries, I guess is the best way to put it. For pushing boundaries, pushing the envelope of telling stories on film. Booksmart's fantastic. And just by watching the trailer for, even though the movie I've heard is not that good, if you watch the trailer for Don't Worry, Darling, you're just like, whoa, okay, we're going there. Okay. The Invite looks fantastic, but Olivia Wilde has a knack for telling for telling these kinds of stories, which I love. I think as a creative voice, I think we need more people like Olivia Wilde to tell. I think Olivia Wilde as a creative person is fearless. And I think we need more of that. The, Mallory's only hope of securing custody of her son from her gaslighting trash bag ex is to find Santa Claus and convince him to testify in her divorce hearing. And Peter Dinklage is going to play Santa Claus. Let me just say this. Um, Peter Dinklage is a national treasure. Um, and he is a gem of an actor, and I love him so much. Um, and uh, you know, I understand. I know it was controversial, but I can understand where he was coming from when he spoke out about the Snow White movie regarding the dwarves. I can understand his point of view. I understand it was a controversial thing to say, but I can understand his point of view. Um, I love Peter Dinklage. He's fantastic. Um, there was a movie that I really wanted to see him in. What? Oh, Cyrano. The which came out in 2021, where uh, Peter Dinklage. It's this musical romantic drama, and Peter Dinklage played Cyrano de Bergerac, and I really want to watch it. I've heard it's fantastic. I saw the trailer and I was like, I need to see this movie now. I love him, and this idea of him playing Santa Claus is perfect. It's perfect, and this concept of Peter Dinklage is going to testify for Jennifer Aniston. That's fucking adorable. That's adorable. Who doesn't want to see that movie? Like, come on. So, and Olivia Wilde directing. Um, I think this sounds wonderful. This sounds wonderful. It sounds heartwarming. You know, uh, I think this could be wonderful. Um, so jump in the comments section and let me know your thoughts on Olivia Wilde directing Naughty, starring Jennifer Aniston and Peter Dinklage. Okay, so this next bit of news, I've talked a lot lately about how much I love Jackie Chan. I'm trying to get more into 80s and 90s martial arts movies. And I need to watch more of uh Jackie Chan's non-American work. Oh, that's not good. Okay, sorry. Um, there we go. I don't know what that was. Um, okay, where was I? Oh, um, I've been trying to get more into um 80s and 90s martial arts movies, and I need to watch more of Jackie Chan's non-American work, but I'm a huge fan. Um and so one of there was a movie that came out last year called The Shadow's Edge. It was this action thriller movie where Jackie Chan was a retired tracker who was tasked with hunting down some thieves, right? And there's been some news regarding apparently the future of Shadow's Edge. This article is on MovieWeb, published by Jonathan Fugue. Let me see here. I want to make sure I get my information correctly. So basically, Jackie Chan is going to return. This article says that Jackie Chan is going to return for a sequel to The Shadow's Edge, aptly titled The Shadow's Edge 2. And Tony Leung is going to return as well. Tony Leung played he was in Shang-Chi. And he was great in Shang-Chi. I'm trying to think. He played Wen Wu in Shang-Chi and The Legend of the Ten Rings, and he was fantastic. So there's going to be a sequel to The Shadow's Edge. And there's been a synopsis revealed for The Shadow's Edge 2. And I don't want to give. There's the synopsis gives spoilers for the first movie, so if you haven't seen it, I don't want to get into. But I'm just glad that because The Shadow's Edge, is got some of the best reviews of Jackie Chan's entire career, and that's saying a lot. And Tony Leung I want to make sure I get his. Okay, he is from Hong Kong. I just wanted to make sure I got that right. He is. He's an icon as far as Hong Kong cinema, Asian cinema goes. He's an icon. This is awesome. I love, Jackie Chan is what, 72, 71, 72, and he's still going, man. That rules. That's awesome. The Shadow's Edge 2, I need to watch more Jackie Chan stuff. But anyway, I give me your thoughts on the Shadow. If you've seen the Shadow's Edge, and there being a sequel, if you have any thoughts regarding that bit of news, Okay, so this next bit of news is really really cool. I talked last episode about the fact that we're getting Universal Studios snapped up the rights to 10 Atari video games, so we'll see how that plays out. Um, and we're living in a time now where uh, video game to film and even TV adaptations can be really really good, and evidently we're getting more. This article is on Screen Rant, published by Adam Holmes. Um, and this article says uh, in 2021, the popular horror video game Tormented Souls was released, developed by Dual Effect and published by P Cube for consoles like Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 5, and Xbox Series XS after starting out on Steam. Following a young woman in 1994 trying to stay alive in an abandoned mental hospital, the game was met with positive critical reception, and Tormented Souls 2 followed in 2025. Now there's official word that the Tormented Souls property will be adapted for film and television. As shared by Deadline, ZQ Entertainment, Prime Universe Films, and Longevity Pictures have obtained the movie and TV rights for Tormented Souls. ZQ will finance the development of this project and co-finance its production, and Ara Keishishian and Peter Jackal from that company will produce it alongside Prime Universe Films president Adrian Ascarie and Longevity's Majid Nassif. Yeah, so, and this article goes on to give a description of Tormented Souls. Envisioned as a Resident Evil style third person shooter game, the first Tormented Souls follows a Canadian woman named Caroline Walker who travels to the aforementioned abandoned hospital to learn the fate of twin girls from a picture sent to her. Upon arriving, she's knocked unconscious, has her right eye surgically removed, and must fight back against the humanoid monsters and supernatural forces populating the complex as she solves the mystery of these girls and uncovers the hospital's dark secrets. Awesome. Awesome. A survival horror video game that takes place in a hospital. Sign me up. Awesome. So awesome. Resident Evil in a hospital. Cool. Um Honestly, I think I think this could work given the story. This might work better for television. Um this woman who travels to a hospital, and then she's knocked unconscious, and all this batshit crazy stuff happens to her. I think this could work better as a TV show, but we'll see. I mean, then then again, the Resident Evil went they went the movie route. I mean, and look, despite the quality of those films, they made a boatload of money. They made a boatload of money. And the new one looks awesome, by the way. The new Resident Evil movie looks awesome. But I think this, who knows? I'm just, again, given the right creative people, this could be really, really cool and interesting. And it sounds really cool. So jump in the comment section and let me know your thoughts on, I haven't played Tormented Souls. maybe you guys have. But it sounds interesting. It sounds cool. So jump in the comment section and let me know what you guys think about Tormented Souls getting film and TV adaptations. Okay, this last bit of news is actually pleasantly surprising. So, for those who don't know, back in 2025, there was a Clueless sequel series being developed at Peacock, I believe. Yes, Peacock. And for the record, I love Clueless. I know that's odd for a man to say, but Clueless is great. You know, it made Alicia Silverstone a star. You know, I love that movie. But back in 2025, there was going to be there was a sequel series being developed at Peacock. But as of this year, like sometime earlier this year, it was scrapped and being shopped around to other distributors, other streaming services. Well, there has been an update regarding that. This article is on The Hollywood Reporter, published by Katie Kilkenny. This article says, a sequel series to the 1995 cult classic film Clueless has found a home at Paramount Plus, which has greenlit the project, The Hollywood Reporter has learned. The series, once again starring Alicia Silverstone as the Beverly Hills bred Cher, will revisit the character 30 years after the events of the film, and now is the owner of a successful business and a mother, who seems to have it all figured out until her daughter enters high school. And this Alicia Silverstone, and this article does also point out that Alicia Silverstone and the director of the film Clueless, Amy Heckerling, will be executive producers on this sequel series. This, again, I love Clueless. I don't care. I love Clueless. This sounds really interesting because this idea of Cher being 30 years older and now having a daughter herself in high school, that kind of comes full circle. Maybe having her daughter going through the same motions that she did. I think Cher will be able to pass on her what she learned when she was in high school. And things like that. I hope it's good, and I hope it's good, and I hope it lasts. This time, evidently it will, because it has been greenlit at Paramount Plus. Well, what I mean by I hope it lasts is, like, I hope it's on for a while. Like, I hope we get multiple seasons of this, because I would love to see that. But again, this idea of Cher passing on what she learned to her daughter. It would be really great, and I know this sounds kind of cliche, but it would be great if Cher's daughter was going through the same motions that Cher did, and Cher ends up having a heartwarming talk with her about, look, I know what you're going through, and has that kind of talk with her. I know that sounds cliche, but that would be so wonderful. Um, I hope it's good, you know. And like I said, I love Clueless, and seeing Alicia Silverstone back in this character is going to be so. It's going to be uh, so wonderful to see. So jump in the comments section and let me know your thoughts on the Clueless sequel series moving forward at Paramount Plus. Well, that'll about do it for this episode and for today. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. I will be back next week. Probably, I don't know when, but I will be back next week. Um, and yeah, yeah. Um, so I hope you guys enjoyed the show. I hope you enjoyed the previous episode, and continue to enjoy in the future. As always, if you want to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, spread the word, send me an email, leave a comment, whatever. If you'd like me to talk about, you know, certain movies or franchises, feel free to ask me. Or if you think, I'm a monumental piece of shit for my personal views on things, for my views on certain things. I recognize that putting myself out there is will eventually garner criticism. I understand that. But anyway, I hope you guys have a good rest of your day. I always say, look, I know that there's a lot of crazy shit going on in the world right now, and I hope this show provides a brief break from all that. I know we all could use, I was talking with my best friend Mike Shreve the other day about, like, all we can do is keep doing things that we enjoy doing, you know. Um, and I love doing this show, and hopefully you guys enjoy it as much as I do. So I hope, like I said, I hope you guys enjoyed the show. And until next time, I will see you at the movies.